The desperate plea. The crystalline chambers of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such desperation. High Counselor Vextar, his translucent blue skin pulsing with distressed bioluminescence, stood before the assembled representatives of 47 worlds. His forearms trembled as he activated the holographic display at the center of the vast amphitheater. Kepler 442b, he announced, his voice carrying the weight of eons. Population, 12 billion souls. Status as of this morning. Consumed. The hologram showed a world that had once been a garden paradise, now reduced to a barren husk. Massive structures resembling metallic coral growths covered the planet's surface, pulsing with a sickly crimson light. In the spaces between, nothing lived. A collective sigh of grief emanated from the assembled beings. The Zephyrians wept crystalline tears that chimed softly as they fell. The Mordani dimmed their natural luminescence in mourning. The Velthari, normally a chattering species, fell into respectful silence. That makes 47 worlds lost to the Crimson Horde in just 6 months, Vextar continued, his ancient voice cracking with emotion. Our mathematical projections indicate total extinction of the peaceful alliance within 18 standard cycles. General Quindal rose from his seat, his tall reed-like form swaying gently. His species, the Lyrans, had evolved on a world of eternal twilight where conflict was resolved through elaborate rituals of dance and song. The concept of warfare was as foreign to them as breathing underwater would be to a bird. Honorable Counselor, Quindal said, his melodic voice barely above a whisper. Our fleets have tried everything. The Harmony protocols, the Unity defensive matrix, even the ancient pacification frequencies. Nothing slows them down. They consume our weapons, our ships, our very essence, and grow stronger. The chamber erupted in panicked chittering, whistling, and harmonic wails. 47 civilizations, representing trillions of beings who had known only peace for over 3 millennia, faced their first true existential threat. Vextar raised all 4 arms for silence. There is one option remaining. One that violates every principle we hold sacred. The silence that followed was absolute. The death world, Vextar said, the words seeming to physically pain him. Sol 3, Earth. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Representatives leaped to their feet, their various appendages waving in agitation. Cries of forbidden and madness filled the chamber in dozens of languages. You cannot be serious, shrieked Ambassador Wilnara of the Gentle Worlds Confederation. The humans are classified Category 5 Death World survivors. They are barbarians, warmongers, destroyers. Vextar's bioluminescence flared bright enough to be seen even in the chamber's soft lighting. And perhaps that is exactly what we need. 2,000 light-years away, Ambassador Zephyr Caney was enjoying what she had assumed would be a quiet morning aboard Orbital Station Unity, humanity's primary diplomatic and defense platform. At 52, Caney had served in 3 different branches of Earth's military before transitioning to diplomatic service. Her steel-gray hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her sharp green eyes missed nothing as she reviewed the morning intelligence reports. The coffee in her mug was still steaming when the proximity alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Ma'am!" Lieutenant Torres burst into her office without ceremony. Unknown vessels approaching from the outer system. Configuration unlike anything in our databases. Caney was already moving, her diplomatic training warring with 20 years of military instincts. How many ships? 3, ma'am. They're big, and they're transmitting on frequencies we've never encountered. Caney reached the command center as Captain Nora Steele, the station's tactical officer, was coordinating the defense response. Steele was younger than Caney, but her reputation for quick thinking under pressure had earned her the posting despite her age. "Status report, Captain," Caney ordered. 3 ships, unknown origin, holding position at the edge of our sensor envelope. Steele replied crisply. "They haven't made any aggressive moves, but their energy signatures are off the charts. If they wanted to destroy us, Ambassador, I'm not sure we could stop them." "Are they communicating?" Dr. Marcus Vale looked up from his console. As Earth's leading xenobiologist and first contact specialist, He had spent years preparing for this moment, though he had always imagined it would come during a planned exploration mission, not with mysterious ships appearing in their backyard. "They're trying, Ambassador," Vale said, excitement and nervousness warring in his voice. "Multiple languages, some kind of universal translator protocol. They're requesting permission to approach for diplomatic contact." Caney felt a chill run down her spine. First contact. After decades of listening to the stars and sending out signals, the stars had finally answered back. "Grant them permission to approach to communications range, but keep our weapons powered," she ordered. "And get me a full security detail in the main hangar bay." An hour later, Caney stood in the station's primary docking bay, flanked by Captain Steele and Dr. Vale, with a full complement of Earth Defense Force Marines in dress uniforms behind them. The alien ship had docked with surprising precision, its technology seamlessly interfacing with human systems. The airlock cycled, and three beings emerged that challenged every expectation of what aliens might look like. The first was tall and ethereal, with translucent blue skin that seemed to pulse with internal light. 4 graceful arms moved in flowing, gestures that seemed to be part of its natural communication. This was clearly High Counselor Vextar, though Caney didn't know his name yet. The second being was shorter, with golden fur and large, kind eyes that seemed to hold infinite sadness. Its movements were precise and deliberate, and it carried what appeared to be some form of ceremonial staff. The third was the most alien of all, a collection of crystalline structures that moved with purpose, creating a soft chiming sound with each step. Light seemed to bend around it in subtle ways that hurt to look at directly. "Greetings, beings of Sol 3, Vextar said, his voice coming through a small translation device at his throat. "I am High Counselor Vextar of the Peaceful Alliance. We come before you in our darkest hour, seeking aid against an enemy that threatens all life in this galaxy." Ambassador Caney stepped forward, drawing on every lesson from her diplomatic training. "Welcome aboard Station Unity, High Counselor. I am Ambassador Zephyr Caney, representing the United Earth Government. We are honored by your presence." Vextar's bioluminescence flickered in what might have been surprise. "You show no fear, Ambassador Caney. Our intelligence report suggested that humans would be more aggressive in their response to unknown visitors." "We're capable of aggression when necessary," Captain Steele interjected, earning a sharp look from Caney. "But we're also capable of diplomacy. Both qualities will be needed," said the golden-furred being, speaking for the first time. "I am General Quindal. What I am about to show you may disturb you, but you must understand the threat we all face." In the center of the hangar bay, the crystalline being projected a hologram that made even the battle-hardened Marines take an involuntary step backward. The images showed worlds stripped bare, massive insectoid creatures swarming through cities and ships being consumed by some kind of living metal. "The Crimson Horde," Vextar explained. "They appeared in our space 18 months ago. They consume everything, organic matter, technology, even the metals of dead worlds. They grow stronger with each conquest, and they cannot be reasoned with, negotiated with, or deterred." Dr. Vale leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his shock. "What have you tried to stop them?" "Everything within our moral and ethical frameworks," General Quindal replied. "The Alliance has maintained peace for over 3,000 years through diplomacy, trade, and mutual cooperation. We have no weapons designed to kill, no tactics developed for warfare. We are a civilization of philosophers, artists, and healers. And now you need soldiers," Caney said quietly, understanding beginning to dawn. "More than that," Vextar said, his forearms spreading wide in what might have been a gesture of surrender. "We need survivors. We need beings who understand that sometimes to preserve life one must be willing to take it. We need—" He paused as if the words were physically difficult to speak. "We need Deathworlders." The hangar fell silent except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Captain Steele was the first to speak. "You came here because you think we're killers." "No," the crystalline being said, its voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We came here because you are survivors. Your world tried to kill you every day for millions of years. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, resource scarcity. You learned not just to survive, but to thrive in conditions that would kill most species in the galaxy within hours. You learned to fight, General Quindell added. Not because you are evil, but because you had no choice. And now, neither do we. Ambassador Caney looked at her companions, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their faces. Humanity had always wondered what they would do when they encountered alien life. They had never imagined they would be called upon to be the galaxy's warriors. What exactly are you asking of us? She said finally. Your help, Vextar replied simply. Your knowledge, your methods. In exchange, we offer you the stars themselves, technology, knowledge, and a place in the galactic community. And if we refuse? Captain Steele asked. The three aliens exchanged glances that somehow conveyed volumes without words. Then you will be safe behind your star's quarantine barriers for perhaps another year, Vextar said sadly. But when the Horde has consumed every other world in the galaxy, when they have grown beyond all possibility of resistance, they will come for Earth as well, and you will face them alone. Dr. Vale cleared his throat. We'll need to consult with our governments, our militaries, our scientists. This is the biggest decision in human history. We understand, General Quindell said, but please understand our urgency. Each day you deliberate, another world falls to silence. Ambassador Caney nodded slowly. Captain Steele, Dr. Vale, I want immediate consultations with Earth Command, the UN Security Council, and the Science Advisory Board. Full briefings with these recordings. She turned back to the aliens. High Counselor, we will give you our answer within 24 hours. But I want you to understand something. If humanity agrees to help you, we will not do so halfway. We will fight your war as if it were our own with everything we have. And that, Vextar said, his bioluminescence dimming to what might have been relief, is exactly why we broke every law we hold sacred to come here. As the aliens were escorted to guest quarters, Captain Steele pulled Ambassador Caney aside. Ma'am, do you realize what we're being asked to do? We're being invited to become the galaxy's attack dogs. Caney looked out through the hangar's observation window at the alien ships, their sleek lines so different from humanity's more utilitarian designs. No, Captain, she said quietly. We're being asked to become the galaxy's guardians. The question is whether we're ready for what that means, not just for us, but for every peaceful world out there. And what do you think it means? Caney was quiet for a long moment, thinking of the images they had been shown, of worlds stripped bare and civilizations consumed. I think it means that sometimes the price of peace is war, and sometimes the price of survival is becoming something you never wanted to be. 24 hours later, the first human fleet departed Earth's solar system, carrying weapons of war to a galaxy that had forgotten how to fight. Behind them, they left a world changed forever, no longer alone in the universe, but burdened with the knowledge that their role among the stars would be written in battle. The Deathworlders were coming to save the galaxy, whether the galaxy was ready for them or not. The price of survival. The transport ship Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kalos system, and Colonel Jake Morrison immediately knew they were too late. Where Alliance intelligence had promised a thriving agricultural world of 6 billion inhabitants, his tactical display showed only the telltale crimson glow of Horde infestation. Jesus Christ, whispered Tech Sergeant Rico Vasquez, his weathered face grim as he studied the sensor readings. The whole planet's gone, dark. Morrison nodded grimly, his cybernetic left eye whirring softly as it zoomed in on the planetary surface. 3 tours in the Martian colony's rebellion and 2 decades of special operations had prepared him for many things, but not for watching an entire world die from light years away. How long since last contact? He asked, though he already suspected the answer. Dr. Lydia Cross looked up from her workstation, her usually calm demeanor cracked with stress. As both a combat medic and xenopsychologist, she had volunteered for this mission to help bridge the gap between human and Alliance forces. Now she wondered if any bridge could span such a gulf. Alliance Command lost contact 18 hours ago, she reported. The evacuation fleet never made it off-world. Estimate 15 million casualties. The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Morrison's strike team consisted of 30 of Earth's finest special operations personnel, but 30 humans felt like a pitiful force against an enemy that could consume entire worlds. "Colonel Morrison," came a musical voice from the communications array. Ambassador Talara, the Alliance liaison assigned to the human forces, materialized as a hologram beside the command console. Her species, the Melody Singers, communicated partially through harmonic frequencies that their translation devices rendered as unusually beautiful speech. "The Kalos Defense Fleet is requesting immediate assistance," Talara continued, her crystalline features flickering with distress. "They're falling back to the Centris station, but they won't hold for long against Horde assault forms." Morrison studied the tactical display showing the retreating Alliance ships. Beautiful vessels designed for exploration and peaceful contact, they moved in perfect formation even as they fled for their lives. Their weapons, if they could be called weapons, were designed to disable and subdue, not to kill. "How many ships in the defense fleet?" Morrison asked. 47 vessels, approximately 12,000 crew members, Talara replied. "Colonel, please understand these are scientists, explorers, diplomats. They've never experienced actual combat." "Then it's time they learned," Morrison said grimly. He activated the ship's communication system. "All teams, prepare for combat insertion. This is not a drill." Dr. Cross approached Morrison as the crew began their rapid deployment preparations. "Jake, are you sure about this? The Alliance specifically requested that we follow their engagement protocols." Morrison's expression was stone. "Their engagement protocols got Kalos turned into a graveyard, Lydia. We do this our way." The Defiance accelerated toward the Centris station, its human crew working with an efficiency that would have terrified their Alliance observers. Morrison's team suited up in powered combat armor that could operate in vacuum, their weapons designed for one purpose: to kill as efficiently as possible. "Sergeant Vasquez, what's our weapon status?" "All green, Colonel," Vasquez replied, checking his plasma rifle one final time. "Kinetic penetrators, shaped charges, and enough firepower to level a city block." Ambassador Talara's hologram flickered with what Morrison had learned to recognize as anxiety among her species. "Colonel, the Alliance fleet commanders are concerned about your armament choices. Perhaps we could try the Harmony bombardment first. It has proven effective at disrupting Horde coordination." "How effective?" Morrison asked without looking up from his tactical display. "It slowed their advance by approximately 12% in the last engagement." Morrison finally turned to face the hologram, his scarred features set in hard lines. "Ambassador, with respect to your people's methods, 12% isn't going to save those ships out there. Stand by." The Defiance dropped into normal space, just as the first Horde assault ships reached the Alliance formation. Morrison watched through the viewports as the enemy vessels, organic-looking things that seemed to pulse with malevolent life, began their attack. The Alliance ships responded with coordinated precision, their harmonic weapons creating beautiful patterns of light that washed over the Horde vessels. Some of the enemy ships slowed, a few even stopped, but most continued their advance, adapting to the Alliance frequency patterns even as they approached. "They're learning," Dr. Cross observed. "The Horde adapts to whatever they encounter." "Then, we'd better make sure they encounter something they can't adapt to fast enough," Morrison replied. He opened a channel to the Alliance fleet. "Alliance Command, this is Colonel Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. We're moving to assist." The response came in the melodic tones of a Lyran commander. "Earth vessel, please maintain formation and follow engagement protocol 77 Alpha. We must minimize casualties on both sides." Morrison closed the channel without responding. "Vasquez, Cross, you're with me. Everyone else, prepare for rapid deployment." The next few minutes unfolded with a brutality that would haunt Alliance observers for years to come. Morrison's team launched from the Defiance in individual drop pods, their trajectories calculated to intersect with the largest Horde vessels. Instead of the careful, measured approach favored by Alliance forces, the humans struck like meteors, punching through Horde hull plating with shaped charges and emerging into the alien vessels with weapons blazing. "Contact," Vasquez's voice crackled over the comm as his pod breached a Horde command ship. These things are definitely organic, and they do not like high explosive rounds. Morrison fought his way through corridors that seemed to pulse with alien life, his combat armor's environmental seals protecting him from the toxic atmosphere that the Horde creatures breathed. Unlike the Alliance's careful, non-lethal approach, Morrison's team moved with singular purpose: find the command nodes and destroy them. "Colonel, I'm reading massive bioelectrical activity ahead," Dr. Cross reported, her medical scanners repurposed for combat analysis. "I think it's some kind of central nervous system." "Light it up," Morrison ordered. The explosion that followed vaporized the Horde command ship's central ganglion, and the effect was immediate. The vessel's coordinated attack pattern dissolved into chaos as individual Horde units began acting independently, their hive mind link severed. Across the battle space, the other human teams were having similar success. Weapons designed to kill human opponents in Earth's various conflicts proved devastatingly effective against aliens who had never encountered such focused lethality. Ambassador Talara's hologram materialized beside Morrison as he fought his way back to the extraction point. "Colonel, the Alliance fleet they're horrified by your methods. The level of destruction you're causing is saving their lives," Morrison interrupted, ducking as return fire from desperate Horde defenders sparked off the bulkhead above his head. "How many Alliance ships have we lost since we engaged?" Talara paused, consulting her data. "None. The Horde fleet is in full retreat." Then our methods work. But as Morrison's team extracted and returned to the Defiance, he could see the cost of their victory in the Alliance fleet's formation. Where before the alien ships had moved with confident precision, now they hung in space like wounded animals, their crews struggling to process what they had witnessed. Dr. Cross joined Morrison on the bridge as they watched the Horde remnants flee toward deep space. "Jake, we need to talk about what just happened down there. We won, decisively. At what cost?" Cross gestured toward the Alliance fleet. "Look at them. We've traumatized our allies as much as we've hurt the enemy." Morrison was about to respond when Ambassador Talara's hologram reappeared, but this time she was not alone. With her was a figure Morrison recognized from the briefings, High Counselor Vextar himself. "Colonel Morrison," Vextar said, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with complex patterns that Morrison's translator rendered as deep disturbance. "We must speak." The meeting took place in the Defiance's main conference room. Morrison sat across from the holographic projections of Vextar and Talara, with Dr. Cross and Sergeant Vasquez flanking him. "Your tactics were effective," Vextar began carefully. "But they were also deeply troubling to witness. The Alliance has not seen such deliberate destruction in over 3 millennia. Morrison leaned back in his chair. "Counselor, with respect, your people asked us to help because our methods are different from yours. You can't have it both ways." "We understand that," Talara interjected, "but the level of violence you employed, the apparent enthusiasm for destruction, it challenges everything the Alliance stands for." "What we stand for," Dr. Cross said quietly, "is survival. Not just our own, but the survival of everyone we've sworn to protect." Vextar's image flickered as he processed this. "Dr. Cross, may I ask you something? When your people kill in battle, do you feel satisfaction?" Cross considered the question carefully. "Sometimes. Not because we enjoyed death, Counselor, but because we've eliminated a threat to innocence. That satisfaction comes from protecting others, not from the act of killing itself. But you are capable of killing without hesitation, without extended moral deliberation." "When necessary, yes." Vextar was quiet for a long moment. "This is what makes you so frightening to us, Dr. Cross. You can switch between healer and killer as the situation demands. Most Alliance species would require extensive psychological conditioning to even consider such actions." Morrison stood up, his frustration finally showing. "Counselor, every minute we spend in this philosophical debate, more of your people are dying. The Horde doesn't care about your moral sensibilities. They'll consume your entire civilization while you're debating the ethics of fighting back. Colonel Morrison is correct, came a new voice from the communication array. The image of General Quindal appeared, his reed-like form swaying with what Morrison had learned to recognize as agitation. General, Vextar said with surprise, you're supposed to be coordinating the defense of the Outer Rim. The Outer Rim is gone, Quindal replied flatly. 4 more worlds fell while we were debating engagement protocols. The Horde is adapting faster than our conventional forces can respond. He turned to Morrison. Colonel, I formally request that Earth Defense Force take tactical command of all Alliance military operations. The silence that followed was deafening. General, Talara said slowly, you're asking us to essentially surrender command of our own forces to an alien species we've known for less than 2 months. I'm asking us to admit that we're not equipped for this kind of war, Quindal replied. The humans are. They've spent their entire evolutionary history preparing for conflicts. Like this. Morrison looked around the room, seeing the weight of entire civilization settling on his shoulders. If we do this, we do it our way. No holding back, no rules of engagement beyond protecting innocent civilians. War isn't about minimizing damage. It's about ending threats permanently. Vexitar's bioluminescence dimmed to almost nothing. And after the war? What happens when the greatest military force in the galaxy belongs to a species that finds violence natural? Dr. Cross leaned forward. Then you'll have to trust that we're also capable of mercy, Counselor, just as we're trusting that you'll help us become something better than just warriors. The galaxy is about to learn what humans are truly capable of, Morrison added grimly. But we're also about to learn what we can become when we're fighting for something bigger than ourselves. Vextar nodded slowly. Very well. General Quindal, you have the authority to transfer tactical command to Colonel Morrison. May the ancestors forgive us for what we're about to unleash. As the meeting ended and the Alliance ships began transmitting their command codes to the Defiance, Morrison stood at the observation deck watching the stars. Dr. Cross joined him there. Having second thoughts? She asked. Every damn minute, Morrison replied. We're about to become the thing we always said we'd never be, the aggressors, the ones everyone else fears. But we're also about to become the protectors of trillions of innocent lives. Morrison nodded, his reflection ghost-like in the reinforced viewport. History's going to remember us as either saviors or conquerors, Lydia. Maybe both. Then we'd better make sure we deserve to be called saviors. Behind them, the Alliance fleet was already beginning to implement human tactical doctrines, their graceful ships taking on harder, more aggressive formations. The transformation had begun, not just of the Alliance's military capabilities, but of humanity's role in the galaxy. The Death Worlders had accepted their burden, and the peaceful galaxy would never be the same again.